The atmosphere in the stadium was like a symphony of emotions, filled with dazzling lights and endless cheers. The stands were a sea of purple and gold, packed with thousands of fans proudly wearing their Los Angeles Lakers jerseys, eagerly awaiting the moment their favorite team would face their longtime rivals, the Boston Celtics. It was a night every basketball lover had dreamed of, a high-stakes game, electrifying energy, and an uncontainable sense of anticipation. Amidst the bustling crowd sat Shaquille O'Neal, the towering basketball legend, standing out like a living monument. His sleek, tailored suit perfectly framed his commanding physique, and the gleam of his signature chain sparkled under the bright stadium lights. Relaxing in his spacious VIP seat, Shaq held a jumbo-sized bucket of popcorn on his lap, one hand casually stretched out, enjoying a rare moment of ease. For him, this game wasn't just entertainment. It was a chance to relive his love for basketball in a setting free from the pressures of competition. Shaq's eyes were fixed on the court, unaware that behind this tranquil moment, a small but unexpected event was quietly unfolding, an event that would change the course of his evening entirely. Among the roaring cheers and the restless buzz of the crowd, a seemingly minor encounter was about to create a memory that would touch everyone's hearts. A few rows away, a young couple sat with their 2-year-old daughter Harper, soaking in the vibrant atmosphere. Harper, with her soft curls and bright, curious eyes, wasn't particularly interested in the game. Instead, she let her innocent curiosity wander, her gaze exploring the glittering lights and exciting sights around her. While her parents were engrossed in the game, Harper discovered something far more intriguing. A very, very tall man holding an enormous bucket of popcorn on his lap. With an eagerness she couldn't contain, Harper grinned, her sparkling eyes fixed on her newfound treasure. In her mind, she had already decided. That bucket of popcorn was a prize she simply had to claim. Little did anyone know, this innocent curiosity would set the stage for a heartwarming and unforgettable story, one that would resonate far beyond the walls of the stadium and even capture the world's attention. As the cheers erupted across the stands, Harper quietly slipped off her seat, her tiny light-up shoes flashing with each determined step. Her parents, fully engrossed in the game's intensity, didn't notice their little adventurer making her bold move. With a sense of wonder and a resolute determination, Harper began her journey toward Shaq. Around her, a few spectators began to notice. Whispering and chuckling, they pointed her out. "Look at that. What's she up to?" one fan murmured. "I think she's eyeing that giant bucket of popcorn," another said, amused, their eyes following Harper's small but confident steps. The already lively atmosphere grew even more playful as more people shifted their attention from the court to Harper's quest. With her eyes gleaming like she'd just discovered a great treasure, Harper finally reached Shaq. Standing beside his wide seat, she looked up at the towering figure, as if calculating how to approach the prize in his hands. Her curiosity mixed with a touch of awe visible in her innocent gaze. To her, Shaq must have seemed like a living, breathing skyscraper she had just stumbled upon. Shaq, still fully focused on the game, hadn't noticed the tiny presence by his side. But Harper, undeterred, stretched out her small hand toward the bucket of popcorn. Her bold and innocent move drew quiet giggles from nearby spectators. One even pulled out their phone to record the adorable moment, not wanting to miss a second of this delightful scene. Her little hand gently touched the edge of the bucket, and just as she grabbed a small handful, Shaq felt the movement. Slowly, he turned his head, his eyes widening in surprise. There before him was a tiny girl with bouncy curls, gazing up at him with bright, radiant eyes, holding a handful of his popcorn. For a brief moment, time seemed to stand still. The entire stadium, or at least the section nearby, felt the ripple of surprise and delight. The sight of Harper's innocent confidence, paired with Shaq's towering presence, created a moment of pure magic. Unable to resist, Shaq burst into a hearty laugh, a booming sound that echoed through the VIP section, drawing more attention. "This little one sure is bold," Shaq exclaimed, his voice a mix of amusement and admiration. Harper's eyes twinkled, and with a mischievous grin, she reached back into the bucket for another handful, as if to ensure her loot was secure. The laughter around them grew louder, spreading through the surrounding seats. A few spectators began clapping, cheering on the smallest winner of the night. Warmth and joy filled the air, and all eyes were now on this unexpected yet heartwarming encounter. Shaq, after a brief moment of surprise, leaned back with a broad smile, his laughter resonating like a comforting melody. With his enormous hand, he gently lowered the popcorn bucket closer to Harper, silently inviting her to take as much as she wanted. Harper's eyes lit up with delight as she immediately grabbed another handful, savoring it with visible satisfaction. Her pure, unfiltered joy created a scene that was both hilarious and touching. And there you have it, an unforgettable night where a little girl and a basketball legend reminded us all of something truly important: the magic of small moments. In a world that often feels too busy, too complicated, it's these simple, heartfelt connections that bring us back to what really matters: joy, kindness, and love. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a smile today. And if you're like us, always on the lookout for stories that inspire and uplift, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You'll never miss a moment that could brighten your day or even change your perspective. And remember, whether it's a bucket of popcorn or a golden basketball, sometimes the smallest gestures have the biggest impact. Until next time, take care and keep spreading the love. "Who is this little one?" Shaq teased, leaning down to look at Harper with a mock-serious expression. "How did you manage to steal my popcorn without asking?" Harper looked up at him, her bright eyes shimmering like little gems, and responded only with a small giggle before reaching for another handful of popcorn. Her innocence and fearless actions completely won Shaq over. He leaned closer to her, gently ruffling her soft, bouncy curls with his massive hand. "All right, I guess we can share," he said, his voice playful but warm. "But you have to promise not to eat it all." Shaq's actions quickly drew attention not only from nearby spectators, but also from those seated farther away. Laughter and applause began to spread as more people noticed the heartwarming interaction between the basketball legend and the tiny toddler. The arena's cameras soon turned toward Shaq, and the stadium's giant screen suddenly displayed the adorable scene of him and Harper. A collective awe rippled through the crowd as they witnessed this touching and unexpected moment. It was a small but perfect interaction that brought thousands of strangers together. Harper, sitting confidently next to Shaq, seemed completely unbothered by the crowd's attention. She was simply a child enjoying her favorite snack and basking in the sense of safety provided by the giant sitting next to her. Shaq, ever the entertainer, suddenly leaned toward her and pretended to grab a handful of popcorn from her. "Do you know I was once one of the strongest players in the world?" he joked, his shoulders shaking with laughter. "But it seems I can't win this battle for popcorn with you." Harper, not fully understanding Shaq's words, simply offered him a piece of popcorn as if inviting him to share. This small but genuine gesture made Shaq pause for a moment, his expression softening with clear emotion. "You are the best sharer I've ever met," he said, accepting the popcorn from her tiny hand and dramatically chewing it. "This popcorn is better than anything they sell here." His playful remark sent the entire section into fits of laughter. In those few short minutes, Shaq and Harper had managed to shift the stadium's focus from the game to their impromptu bonding session. The laughter and warmth spread like wildfire, turning the evening into a memorable experience not just for Harper, but for everyone who witnessed this rare and touching moment. Meanwhile, across the arena, Harper's parents, Daniel and Marrera, were completely unaware of what was happening. A loud cheer erupted as the Lakers scored a three-pointer, snapping Daniel out of his focus on the game. He turned to his wife, ready to mention that Harper might need another snack, but an uneasy feeling suddenly washed over him. The seat next to him, where Harper had been sitting, was now empty, with only her tiny jacket draped across it. "Where's Harper?" Daniel asked, his voice tense and shaky. Marrera immediately looked up, her eyes wide with panic. The growing fear consumed them both, pulling their attention completely away from the game. In an instant, she leapt to her feet, scanning the rows around them with frantic eyes. "She was just here," Marrera said, her voice quivering with worry. Daniel also stood up, his heart racing as worst-case scenarios flooded his mind. Nearby spectators, noticing their distress, quickly began piecing things together. One man, sitting a few seats away, smiled and pointed toward the VIP section. "Your little girl is over there," he said calmly, "with Shaquille O'Neal." Daniel and Marrera froze, unable to believe what they just heard. "Wait, what? Shaq?" Daniel stammered, his eyes following the man's pointing finger. What they saw next left them stunned. Harper, sitting comfortably on Shaq's lap, laughing uncontrollably as her tiny hand repeatedly dipped into the bucket of popcorn. Shaq, towering over her, was laughing along, pretending to wrestle the popcorn from her grasp. A wave of relief swept over Daniel and Marrera, though it was mixed with a bit of shock and disbelief. "Oh my God, Daniel! Look!" Marrera gasped, her voice a blend of amazement and confusion. Is that Harper sitting with Shaquille O'Neal?" Daniel nodded slowly, his face a mix of surprise and bewilderment. "It sure looks like it," he muttered, his feet already carrying him toward the VIP section. The couple hurried down, their hearts pounding as they kept their eyes fixed on their daughter. Harper, still blissfully unaware of the commotion she'd caused, was thoroughly enjoying her time with Shaq. Her little hands continued reaching into the bucket as Shaq playfully competed with her for every piece of popcorn. As they approached, Shaq noticed them and immediately recognized that they were Harper's parents. His warm, signature smile spread across his face as he greeted them. "Hey, are you Harper's parents?" he asked, gesturing to the tiny girl sitting on his lap. Harper turned, her face lighting up as she saw her parents. "Daddy! Mommy! Popcorn!" she exclaimed with uncontainable joy. Relief washed over Daniel and Marrera as they laughed, their initial panic replaced by a mix of gratitude and amusement. It was a moment they would never forget. "Oh my goodness, Daniel, look!" Marrera gasped, her eyes wide as she covered her mouth with her hand. Is that Harper sitting on Shaquille O'Neal's lap?" Daniel nodded, his face a mix of shock and disbelief. "It sure is. How on earth did this happen?" he said, but his feet were already moving toward the VIP section. The couple hurried down the steps, their eyes fixed on their little girl. Harper, blissfully unaware of the commotion, was laughing happily, her tiny hand dipping into the nearly empty popcorn bucket. As they approached, Shaq looked up, immediately recognizing Daniel and Marrera as Harper's parents. His warm, signature smile erased any lingering worries they had. "Hey there, this must be your Harper, right?" Shaq said, his deep voice kind and friendly. Harper turned to see her parents, her face lighting up as she waved excitedly, her mouth still glistening with a little butter from the popcorn. "Daddy! Mommy! Popcorn!" she squealed with delight. Daniel and Marrera couldn't help but laugh, their earlier panic melting into a mix of relief and amusement. "We're so sorry, so very sorry," Marrera said quickly, her voice a mix of apology and embarrassment. "She really loves popcorn, but we never thought she'd actually do this." Shaq chuckled, his smile unwavering. "No need to apologize," he said warmly. "This little one has had me laughing all night. Honestly, Harper is the highlight of my evening." Daniel and Marrera felt deeply moved by Shaq's graciousness. In that moment, they weren't just grateful that Harper was safe. They were touched by the kindness of a man they had only known as a larger-than-life figure on the court. As Daniel and Marrera bent down to lift Harper back into their arms, Shaq suddenly raised a hand, signaling them to wait. "Hold on, don't rush!" His deep, calm voice carried through the nearby seats, drawing the attention of not just the couple, but also the surrounding spectators. He leaned down, his gentle eyes meeting Harper's before turning back to her parents with an inviting smile. "Harper has been my most special little friend tonight," Shaq said, patting the almost empty popcorn bucket. "She didn't just steal my popcorn, she stole my heart too." His words, simple yet heartfelt, brought a wave of emotion over Daniel and Marrera, while the nearby crowd erupted in laughter and applause. Shaq stood up, his towering frame making Daniel and Marrera feel like they were standing in the shadow of a giant. Yet, his soft demeanor and approachable manner dissolved any sense of distance between them and the basketball legend. Shaq leaned down and gently picked Harper up again, cradling her carefully in his massive arms, as though she were a treasure. "Harper, you're the best teammate I've ever had," Shaq said with a playful but affectionate tone. He bent slightly, as though confiding in a fellow player. And every great teammate deserves a reward. All eyes were now on Shaq, the crowd buzzing with curiosity about what he would do next. With a few long strides, Shaq disappeared into the VIP lounge and returned moments later, holding a package wrapped in the iconic Lakers purple and gold and a tiny children's jersey. The back of the jersey proudly displayed his legendary number 34. Kneeling down to Harper's eye level, Shaq's expression softened with pure affection. "Harper," he began gently, "I want you to always remember tonight. This is an official Lakers jersey, just for you, my youngest teammate ever." Harper's wide eyes sparkled with wonder as her mouth opened in an innocent gasp. "My shirt!" she exclaimed joyfully, her tiny hands reaching out to touch the jersey. "But wait, there's more," Shaq said, his wide grin lighting up his face. He handed the purple and gold package to Daniel, gesturing for him to open it. As the wrapping paper was peeled back, a shimmering golden basketball was revealed, inscribed in bold handwriting, "To Harper, my little MVP. Keep stealing hearts like you stole my popcorn. Love, Shaq." Daniel and Marrera stared at the ball in their hands, their hearts overflowing with emotion. Tears of gratitude glistened in their eyes, not just because of the gift, but because of the genuine care and kindness Shaq had shown to Harper. "Thank you, Shaq," Marrera said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have no idea how much this means to our family." Shaq shook his head, his eyes sparkling with joy. "No, thank Harper. She made my night so much more special. Honestly, she reminded me that these little moments are what truly matter." He bent down again, gently tousling Harper's soft curls once more. "But next time, Harper, the popcorn is on me, okay?" Harper nodded enthusiastically, her bright laughter ringing out as the crowd around them joined in the cheerful moment. In that instant, it seemed as though the entire stadium lit up, not from the game, but from the heartfelt connection between a towering star and a little girl. When Harper was finally returned to her parents' arms, she clung tightly to the golden basketball and the tiny jersey, holding them like precious treasures. Her joyful demeanor seemed to radiate through the entire arena. The family expressed their heartfelt thanks to Shaq one last time before heading back to their seats. The surrounding audience, who had witnessed the entire story unfold, erupted into applause, cheering for Harper as if she were the true star of the night. Shaq, with his ever-present smile, waved goodbye to the Harper family as they made their way back to their seats. A few fans nearby quickly snapped photos and videos, eager to capture the unforgettable moment. Within hours, those photos and videos had gone viral. Captions like "Big Man, Bigger Heart," and "Shaq and the Littlest MVP" flooded social media, garnering millions of likes and shares. On the drive home, the car was filled with a quiet joy. Harper, now growing sleepy after her incredible evening, rested her head against her car seat, but still clutched the jersey and basketball tightly. Daniel glanced into the rearview mirror, his eyes soft with emotion. "Can you believe tonight actually happened?" he asked quietly, as though afraid to wake their daughter. Marrera smiled, her eyes still glowing with happiness. "Not just a dream, she said softly, but a memory of a lifetime. Both of them knew that moments like these, unexpected yet deeply meaningful, would forever be a cherished part of their lives. In the days that followed, the story of Harper and Shaq continued to spread far and wide. In an interview with the media, Shaq reflected on the moment with his signature warm smile. "Kids are the purest souls," he said, his deep voice filled with sincerity. "If a bucket of popcorn can bring so much joy, why not?" Harper reminded me that sometimes the smallest joys can carry the greatest meaning. The story didn't just spread smiles. It touched the hearts of millions. Emotional comments poured in from all corners. Shaq is a legend, not just on the court, but in real life too. And this moment between Shaq and Harper made me realize that happiness comes from the simplest things. The story became a testament to the idea that the most beautiful moments in life often aren't the grand ones, but the small, genuine ones. One evening not long after, Daniel and Marrera sat down with Harper to look through the photos and videos that had been shared online. Harper, now understanding the story after her parents had recounted it to her, burst into laughter and exclaimed, "Popcorn! Shaq is my friend." Daniel pulled her close, his eyes brimming with pride. In her parents' arms, Harper was not just a curious 2-year-old. She had become an unexpected source of inspiration, touching the heart of a basketball legend. That night, before going to bed, Harper carefully placed the golden basketball on her bedside table. Her tiny Lakers jersey was lovingly hung by her mother nearby. Though the evening had come to an end, the light of that memory continued to shine brightly, not just in Harper's heart, but in the hearts of everyone who had witnessed it. The story of Shaq and Harper didn't just remain in the stadium, it spread far and wide, like a warm flame illuminating hearts everywhere. Photos and videos of the adorable moment quickly flooded social media platforms, racking up millions of views and comments within hours. Fans couldn't stop talking about Harper's radiant smile, Shaq's tender gaze, and how two people from completely different worlds could create such a magical connection. In a later interview, Shaq was asked about his feelings regarding the event. Leaning back in his chair, a gentle smile crossed his face, but his eyes reflected deep sincerity. "Harper is a special little girl," he said in his warm, deep voice. "She didn't just make me laugh. She reminded me that sometimes the smallest moments bring the biggest joys. Kids are the purest souls. They don't need much, just a little attention and love. And if a bucket of popcorn can create such a memorable evening, then why don't we do this more often?" His words quickly became a topic of discussion, resonating not only with basketball fans, but also with those who had never followed the sport. This seemingly small moment carried a profound message. Joy and love don't require extravagance, just an open heart. Harper, though too young to fully grasp the impact of her actions, had become a small symbol of innocence and contagious happiness. Social media was flooded with heartfelt comments like, "This is what the world needs, simple and genuine connections." Shaq isn't just a legend on the court, he's a legend in life. That smile on Harper's face reminds me how pure and beautiful simple joys can be. Daniel and Marrera, Harper's parents, were deeply moved by the response their daughter's story had garnered. One quiet evening, they sat together on the sofa, watching videos and reading posts about the moment. Harper, nestled between them, still clutched the tiny jersey and golden basketball as though they were her most prized treasures. Daniel gently stroked her hair, his voice tender as he said, "Harper, you didn't just steal Shaq's popcorn. You stole the hearts of millions." Marrera smiled, leaning in to embrace both her husband and daughter. "She's reminded the world that happiness doesn't come from big things, but from small moments filled with love," she said, her voice cracking with emotion, but overflowing with joy. In that moment, they didn't just feel the love of their family. They felt the profound connection created between strangers, sparked by one small but deeply meaningful act. That night, as Harper drifted off to sleep, the tiny Lakers jersey and golden basketball rested beside her. Daniel and Marera watched their daughter, their hearts overflowing with happiness and gratitude. "Tonight wasn't just a memory," Daniel whispered, his eyes reflecting the golden glow of the basketball. "It's a reminder that life truly becomes meaningful when we cherish the little things." Outside, the city lights shone brightly, but in their hearts, the warm glow of that special moment continued to shine even brighter. Somewhere out there, millions of people who had witnessed this story also felt inspired to seek joy in life's simplest moments. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of its ripple effect. The story of Shaq and Harper reminded everyone that in a busy and challenging world, the smallest acts of love could hold extraordinary power, the power to connect, to bring joy, and to open hearts. That same night, as the Harper family drove home, the quiet inside the car was broken only by the soft breaths of their little girl. Harper had fallen asleep in her car seat, her tiny hands still clutching the Lakers jersey and golden basketball as though they were treasures. Daniel glanced at her through the rearview mirror, a small smile spreading across his face. "I never thought a basketball game could end in something so magical," he said, his voice low but filled with emotion. Marera turned to look at her daughter, her gaze soft and tender. "Neither did I," she whispered. "Sometimes, the smallest things create the most meaningful moments." In their hearts, there was a deep sense of gratitude, not only for Harper's safety, but for the special moment that had connected their lives to Shaq, someone they had always admired from afar. The next morning, the story of Harper and Shaq became a sensation. From social media to morning news shows, everyone shared the videos of Harper sitting on Shaq's lap, sharing popcorn and laughing joyfully. Headlines popped up everywhere. "The sweet moment between Shaq and his littlest MVP," or "Basketball legend and a popcorn-thieving toddler melt hearts worldwide." In a later interview, Shaq was asked about the moment. Leaning back in a leather chair, his signature warm smile lit up his face. "I've had a lot of memorable moments in my career," he said, his voice sincere. "But that night with Harper was one of the most special. She reminded me that joy doesn't come from big things. It comes from simple connections between people." The story didn't just bring laughter. It carried a profound message. Fans, no matter where they were, felt the warmth of this moment. One social media comment read, "That moment taught me that in a chaotic world, the most precious things are sincerity and love." A few weeks later, during another Lakers game, Shaq appeared wearing a shirt with bold letters that read, "Popcorn Thief's biggest fan." Looking into the camera with his trademark grin, he sent a message. "Harper, if you're watching, the popcorn's still ours next time, kiddo." The stadium erupted into laughter, and once again, Harper's name echoed in a wave of applause. For Harper's family, that moment wasn't just a memory. It was a reminder that even the smallest actions could touch hearts and create something extraordinary. Harper might not remember every detail as she grew up, but the golden basketball and the tiny jersey with the number 34 would always stand as proof of the magical night when she became the youngest teammate of a basketball legend. And just as the stadium lights shine brightly in every game, the story of Shaq and Harper will continue to illuminate the hearts of all who witnessed it. Sometimes, it's in the simplest things that we find the greatest meaning, a reminder that love and connection are humanity's most powerful gifts. And there you have it, an unforgettable night where a little girl and a basketball legend reminded us all of something truly important, the magic of small moments. In a world that often feels too busy, too complicated, it's these simple, heartfelt connections that bring us back to what really matters: joy, kindness, and love. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a smile today. And if you're like us, always on the lookout for stories that inspire and uplift, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You'll never miss a moment that could brighten your day or even change your perspective. And remember, whether it's a bucket of popcorn or a golden basketball, Sometimes the smallest gestures have the biggest impact. Until next time, take care and keep spreading the love.